We're jumping right into something that honestly blew my mind when I first saw the data for this explainer. If you look closely at the landscape of the world's biggest tech companies right now, in the middle of 2026, they are going through a massive identity crisis. To survive the AI era, these giants are literally abandoning their core DNA. What they used to be famous for, it's dead. We are witnessing the most significant structural tech shakeup in a decade, where the old playbooks are just being thrown completely out the window in real time.
So I want you to ask yourself a question that would have sounded completely crazy just 2 years ago. Did Apple just surrender the AI war? I mean, really think about it. Did you ever in a million years think that the undisputed king of vertical integration, the company that demands absolute control over every single microchip and line of code in its devices, would just outsource its digital brain to its biggest competitor? Because, well, that is exactly what just happened.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Apple's shocking software surrender.
Now, Apple has always sold us on that sleek, premium, tightly controlled ecosystem, right? But at WWDC 2026, they introduced the new Siri AI. And the engine under the hood of this massive overhaul isn't just Apple's own handiwork. The old Apple philosophy was legendary: build absolutely everything in-house, keep the walled garden locked tight. But their new reality? They are licensing a custom 1.2 trillion parameter Gemini model from Google. It's just a stunning admission that Apple couldn't build a competitive large language model in-house fast enough. So instead of faking it, they partnered up.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer scale of the distribution pipeline it creates. According to legal analysis from Wargen Law, Google's Gemini acts as the teacher guiding Apple's on-device student systems. By making Gemini the default reasoning engine behind iOS 27, Apple has essentially handed Google an exclusive, unprecedented distribution pipeline spanning more than 2 billion active devices. No way we saw that coming.
But Apple couldn't just hand over raw user data to Google, right? That would completely destroy their privacy brand. So they engineered this brilliant 3-tier architecture to basically save face and probably keep their marketing team from having a collective heart attack while conceding the foundational AI model race. Step 1. Simple tasks stay purely on-device, using smaller native Apple models. Step 2. For complex tasks, your data goes to Apple's private cloud compute, where a absolutely crucial step happens: data stripping. All your personally identifiable information is scrubbed completely away. And then, Step 3. Only then is that anonymized query sent to the Google Gemini cloud for heavy reasoning. Google gets the query, sure, but they never know it's you.
And for this privilege, reports indicate Apple is paying an estimated $1 billion annually to Google in licensing fees. $1 billion. Take a second to process that. Is paying a massive $1 billion annual fee to your fiercest rival a sign of ultimate weakness? Or, in an era where AI is moving just way too fast for anyone to catch up, is this actually a genuinely smart bet on giving users the best possible choice while keeping the Apple ecosystem intact?
Section 2. Meta's custom hardware offensive.
So, while Apple, the hardware king, is surrendering to software partnerships, Meta is doing the exact opposite. Mark Zuckerberg is aggressively transforming a company famous for social software into a gritty, hardcore hardware manufacturer to survive these AI wars. Look at this incredibly compressed timeline. The industry standard for developing new chips is usually years, but Meta, they've dropped 4 generations of their MTIA, that's Meta Training and Inference Accelerator chips, in practically no time. The MTIA 300 was just for ranking algorithms, but then came the 400 for generative AI. Next is the 450, slated for early 2027 and specifically optimized for Gen AI inference, followed immediately by the 500 in late 2027. They went from basic recommendation algorithms to full-blown multi-chiplet generative AI hardware in roughly 2 years. Absolutely wild. Meta's aggressive survival tactics are completely tied to escaping their reliance on Nvidia. That's the key. They're building PyTorch native silicon that seamlessly integrates with their own software. They're adopting an inference-first approach, meaning they optimize these chips specifically to run their Llama models quickly and cheaply for billions of users. And the most staggering part? They're doing all of this in partnership with Broadcom to deploy at an absolutely massive multi-gigawatt scale.
So, why does all this matter? Well, because Meta realized a really harsh truth. To control the future of Instagram Reels and their massive Llama open-source models, they had to own the foundational hardware. By designing in-house and partnering with Broadcom, Meta completely insulates itself from Nvidia's massive profit margins. They are taking total control of their own destiny, from the bare silicon all the way up to your social media feed.
Section 3, Alphabet's Physical AI Empire.
Which brings us to our third giant, Alphabet. It is time to completely shatter the illusion of the cloud. We talk about the cloud like it's this magical, invisible realm floating above us, but it is actually grounded in a brutal, incredibly expensive physical reality. So, the crucial point is this staggering figure, $84.75 billion. That is the size of the equity capital raise Alphabet just announced. It's their largest ever. They are raising this monumental amount of cash for one very specific reason: to expand their AI infrastructure to meet unprecedented customer demand. The sheer scale of this is almost hard to comprehend.
Breaking down that equity raise, we see $40 billion in an at-the-market program, $30 billion in public offerings, and right there, look at this, a $10 billion private placement from Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Think about how wild that is. Warren Buffett is notoriously averse to tech hype and open-ended capital expenditures. So seeing a $10 billion check from him for tech infrastructure, that's fascinating. It signals a deep conviction from the traditional financial world that AI infrastructure is a durable, permanent financial reality, not just some cyclical tech trend.
Let's move to and see how this builds into their actual spending. In 2025, Alphabet's capital expenditure was a massive $91.45 billion. But for 2026, they are projecting that figure to essentially double, reaching somewhere between $180 and $190 billion. You are literally looking at liquid gold flowing directly into Alphabet's blueprints. They are treating AI infrastructure not as a temporary phase, but as a permanent, structural cost of operating at the absolute frontier of tech.
And what exactly are they buying with those hundreds of billions? Concrete, steel, millions of miles of copper wiring, advanced liquid cooling systems, massive nuclear and renewable energy contracts. Remember, AI isn't invisible code. It is a resource-heavy, gigawatt-scale industrial complex. Alphabet is quite literally building the physical factories of the future, diluting their shareholders today to build structural advantages that will take years to compound.
And this brilliantly illustrates the grand irony of the 2026 tech landscape. The old tech playbook is completely dead. Apple, the legendary hardware and integration king, is actively surrendering its AI brain to software partnerships with Google. Meanwhile, Meta, the ultimate software and social media king, is aggressively pivoting to become a custom hardware manufacturer. The whole narrative that one AI wins it all has been completely shattered. It's now an open war of shifting strategies.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We used to think the company with the best software algorithm would win the future. But if AI is fundamentally a physical resource reliant on gigawatts of power, millions of custom silicon chips, and massive concrete data centers, who really holds the power in tomorrow's tech landscape? Is it the one with the best brand? Or the one pouring the most concrete? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.